Well, hello there, Nick Robinson.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going really well because I'm playing a 3D platformer made in 2015.
Danielle, it's 2015. How could that be possible?
I know, right? It's like this came straight out of 1998 or something, but actually looks really pretty. So I should probably tell you what this is. This is Poi. This is a very early game. It's still about a year out of release. So I'm playing an early alpha of Poi from Polygon, who have directly said that two of my favorite games that I've been talking about like this week, Mario 64 and Banjo-Kazooie, were direct influences. This is a sort of pure 3D platformer, sort of cartoonish, cutesy, very much lifted from that inspiration there, and it's just sort of a straight interpretation of that kind of game.
Oh man, I see what you're talking about. That like hub world that leads into a screen where you pick a mission felt so Mario 64 to me. Oh, this movement too. And
the moveset, I wanted to show you this. This is like lifted directly. The 3 jumps and the third one kind of does the little spin. It's
the cartwheel.
It's very, very Mario 64 in a good way, and it actually feels pretty tight too. There's so many influences in this game. It really wears them on its sleeve, and the developers, Polykid, really talk about how much they love those games and how much they just, kind of just shamelessly ripped off of things that they liked in other games.
I mean, like this. It probably goes without saying. Oh, checkpoints. Yeah. It goes without saying, I think, that like this genre, ukulele notwithstanding, is pretty much empty nowadays. So like, any degree of shamelessness is fine with me as long as it's like evoking this style of game that I really fondly remember.
Oh yes, and I ate it here a little bit, but it's not too bad. I mean, certainly this is a demo, so it's early levels here. I'm cutting ahead, away from my mistakes, basically. Well, not all of them. I still want you to know that I'm human, Nick. Clearly.
I appreciate your honesty in video editing here.
Yes, absolutely here. Gotta keep a little of that. But it looks, two of the main things that I'm always looking for in this kind of game, and this is my favorite genre, like the 3D platformer, along with like, adventure games and 2D platformers. I'm such a colorful gamer, I guess, are really my favorite genre. So I always look for, does it control well as sort of number one, and number two is, does it evoke a sense of exploration and, kind of fun and having a good time in these big, interesting worlds. And it's doing both of those things really well, at least so far.
Yeah, the visual sort of pseudo cel-shaded Wind Waker-esque style is like one of the most pleasant art styles, and I'm surprised it's something we don't see implemented more often. So in terms of the controls, though, does it feel like... I think what's so important about the Mario 3D platformers and games like Banjo-Kazooie is that they just the movement by itself feels fun no matter what you're doing. Is that true of this game yet?
Yes, so I would say this feels just like Mario 64, a tiny bit floatier, and I don't think that's actually a bad thing. It's just a shade more forgiving. It'll kind of give you that, give you the inch if you're sort of right next to something, which is totally fine because I think otherwise the challenge level will ramp up appreciably, and we'll see some later levels a little bit here later on. And of course, we've got switch puzzles. Would a platformer be complete without some switches that do things in the world that let you get higher up or do something else?
And then it cuts to like a letterbox view of the world changing a little bit. I mean, like that's kind of what the coolest thing about this, based on what I've seen so far, is that like it's not just the overarching themes that come from games like Mario 64. It's like the tiny little visual cues and like interface things,
Yeah, it really is lifting all of those things, and again, they're really unapologetic about it. Oh, totally meant to do that. That was, that was me definitely trying to explore this ledge right here. And these little touches like this, the sidling on the side, everything. And the animation, I wanted to mention, also looks really nice, and it's giving me sort of a Wind Waker vibe. Not just cel-shaded, but sort of the way the characters express themselves.
Yeah.
Very cute, very animated. Again, I won something there, and here we go. And
is this kind of the hub world here?
Yeah, this is sort of the hub world, and you can go off to Cozy Canyon, which is sort of the main sort of world area we were in earlier, but we can also kind of go and check out some of these bonus courses or more interesting courses going on over here. And the game it's very early. There is some stuttering, a little bit of hiccups, that kind of thing. But again, this is alpha. It's not going to be out until July of next year on PC and Wii U, I think is what they're aiming for. So I don't want to pass too much judgment on
For sure.
performance issues.
Do you have any sense yet? I know we just spent a little bit of time with it. Oh my god, it's exactly the rainbow slide.
It really is.
Right down to like the right turn into a tunnel with that item in the. This is like almost a shot-for-shot remake of that slide from Mario 64.
It totally is. Yeah, and it does it well. I mean, that's the thing. It's not really just aping sort of these things that I love so much. It feels like it's actually sort of true to the source material, which is really important.
That's awesome. Do you have a sense of how much content there is in this early access version?
I have a decent sense. It seems like there's one full world, and that was that Cozy Canyon world earlier, that sort of happy windmill sort of area, and that seems to have at least 3 or 4 sort of objectives, star-like objectives in it. And then there are, I think, about 6 or 7 of these sort of bonus courses, like slides. We'll see a couple more in a second here. And of course, just like any other slide in a Mario game, you get your time, and you can, since this is 2015, there are actually leaderboards.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't quite beat the staff ghost, but I wasn't too far off, so...
And so I'm guessing those coins are the stand-in for stars in this game?
Yes, and you're getting tons of coins everywhere, and this alpha is really, really generous. You only need a few coins. Right here, we're going to buy some new courses from this little dude. So, Spike Roller, it's only 3 coins, and we're getting them all over the place. I have 81 coins here, so they're really not challenging you too much at this point. But yeah, there's actually quite a bit of content just in this little demo here, which is always good, considering that I think they're aiming to have 6 worlds in the finished game, which is great, and then tons of other sort of bonus things like this.
This looks like a doozy right here.
Yeah. It wasn't too bad. Also, I have to say, I have been like nonstop playing Banjo-Kazooie and Mario 64, so I felt like I was ready for this. Obviously, I hit the spikes there once, but yeah, I mean, this is a lot of fun. I have to say, I am so excited to see this style of game sort of done with love and care and attention to detail the way that it seems like Polykid is doing so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny how, like, for the past 10 years or so, we saw indie developers, at least aesthetically, focus on, like, 8-bit games and pixel art as the sort of de facto art style. And now, as 10 years later, now that everyone's grown up a bit, like, we're getting game developers who grew up on the N64 and PS1, and we're seeing that nostalgia inform their game design, which is really cool.
Yeah, I think it's really great. And I know Polykid, they're doing a Kickstarter campaign right now for this, and I know they're sort of developers who have worked in the industry for a while. I think the 2 main developers both went to Nintendo's school. They went to DigiPen, graduated from there, worked on a few student games and some indie games and some, mobile games and things like that. And they were like, we quit our jobs and we just really want to make a game like Mario 64 and Banjo-Kazooie, which of course speaks to my heart.
Right. I mean,
when I look at this,
it's something that I don't think anyone else is doing. So like, I'm always happy to see a developer try something that is like not just a. I never thought I would reach the point where I was like weary of roguelike and super punishing tactical, like.
Yeah, totally.
It's cool to see something that's colorful and more action oriented, I think, than.
Yeah, absolutely. And right there, you saw the falling in lava, just like Mario 64. You kind of lose control a little bit, and you go higher. And same thing, but you are able to,
I mean, if it worked in the late 90s, why not today?
That's right, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Nick. This has been Poi from Polykid in Kickstarter right now and coming out next summer.